Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. Today's video is a continuation of the video I made, or rather, video I put out last week, where I show you my suggestion for how to workshop a Pantheon. That video I will now quickly resume. First of all, I went through the questions I brought up when I first made a video about how to make a Pantheon or what to consider when making one, and gave my answers to it. For the purposes of this Pantheon, the gods do exist within the broader scope of the setting. However, their level of interference with the world itself is for the most part minimal. They only interfere when they notice something going way outside of their preferred boundaries, and that is something they've learned due to their strained history that they've come to learn. Also, for the sake of this video, there are only gods in this pantheon, so there are only gods in this mythology. Sorry, I did that again, mistaking pantheon for mythology. There are only gods within this mythology. No secondary figures such as, so there's no fairies, no golems, no no other kind of monster. It's just gods. That being said, the culture I'm talking about could still have those. The gods are the gods are meant to embody various aspects that a primitive society would reflect upon. Sorry about that. So that which means they would that means they would look at things around them, things that influence them, and that they consider particularly important, and therefore assign a deity to them. However, it's not always something. Sometimes it's something vague, like bravery. Sometimes it's a little bit more specific, like bravery and something else. I don't think given the deities already come up, I don't think the society really believes in bravery. And the connections are something of are somewhat of a mess, because some deities will exist as children of other deities. Some exist, or some have been created through the influences, through the actions that other deities have brought about. The next thing I did was present the theme based upon which I have created this workshop, namely the Myers-Briggs personalities. Then I went into a little delve into how exactly the Myers-Briggs personalities work. Basically, it's not just four dualities, and it's not these four dualities either. Rather, the dualities are focused around cognitive functions and the ways in which they are directed. And these cognitive functions stack up in such a way as to determine what it is that people look for, and what it is that they and how it is that they seek to understand and bring change to the world around them. And also there are various stacking up mechanisms, such as the first and last function within the cognitive stack are always of the same axis, And these functions also have different have different directions. If the first function is extroverted, the second one is introverted. But the fourth one is introverted. Also, if the first function is extroverted, the second one is introverted as well. So yeah, they're basically alternating between extroverted, introvert, extroverted, introvert, extroverted, introvert, or introverted, extroverted, introverted, extroverted. And that's how they stack up. However, because of the mechanisms, you only need to say because of the way the mechanism is set up, you only need to mention the first two to get a clear understanding of what what the stack overall looks like, and therefore how the person of that particular personality type interacts with the world. Anyway, with that little recap aside, I went through and developed three generations of a Pantheon, starting with the and I've written the as you can see, and I've underlined the fact that underlined the separation between generations, and then I've emboldened the names of the actual deities. But in the first generation, we have the personification of extroversion, the god of creation and life. Then the personification of introversion, the god of destruction and death. Though this being isn't just a being of isn't just a being of wanton annihilation. Rather, it's perhaps a little bit more perhaps a little bit more deliberation to that, or there is more nuance into the extent to which they work. And there is also a god of the void, or of the cosmos, of the greater scope of creation, and a god of time, or more precisely of the expanse of time, of time immemorial, so to speak, of the realization of early people that others like them have existed hundreds, maybe even thousands of years, in the past, before they were born, and before anyone who they knew who would have known them. Within the second generation, formed basically from the destruction of the not the destruction, the vanquishing of the void and time deities, and we have a godly figure of the surreal, a deity of nature, just vaguely nature and nature, surrounding elements, stuff like that. A deity of wisdom, and a deity of love slash lust. This second generation appeared from the splitting of these two figures from the first generation, which led to them still existing but being diminished, and they were split by the other two deities in the first generation. However, the effort also led to them being diminished, which in turn led to the second generation more or less taking over from the first one. In time, however, they realized the second generation realized that it when it went into conflict with itself, amongst themselves as well. So so they sought to and as such they sought to get legs up on each other, and enlisted the gods of creation and destruction from the first generation to help them out. The god of creation was like, "Oh, cool! I get to do more. Stuff. That's something I'm looking forward to." And the god of destruction went like, I could actually use that to show these whippersnappers the error of their ways, so to speak. And they set out to create think like the golem, the third generation. So these aren't true. These aren't their. So these are so the third generation isn't the. It doesn't consist of the children of the third generation. It consists of the of beings that they more or less sculpted, molded, and then brought to life. And we have a god of delirium and discord, and a god of meditation and dreams, a god representing the lust for life. I initially said that this figure would be a would represent both artistry and combat, but truth be told, there is one thing that really connects those, and that is lust for life, or the desire to stay alive and find the things that make life itself worth living. Then we got a god of time management. It's actually also time, but it's time in at a smaller scale. It's about a god focusing on on how to effectively manage time. So even though this god isn't in time's lineage, it still concerns itself with that aspect of itself. Next up, we've got a god of public works, or in general of items that make living within a community necessary. That could mean law. That could mean law. That could mean construction. That could mean education as well. Next up, a god of wisdom, a god of romance and community, and a god of family and friendship. And now, with that out of the way, we finally reach the main event, the fourth generation, the deities that are actually based off of the individual Myers-Briggs personality types. But why would this fourth generation emerge at all? Well, I imagine that this third generation of deities that that more directly try to more directly influence the world, sought to use the second generation of deities, which, when trying to more directly influence the world of the living, or this society that they basically lord over, they decided that they needed more specific avenues for which to explore the society and bring forth suggestions. And it is for that reason that they created the third generation, in order to act as enforcers of their will. However, due to the influence that the first generation deities had over their creations, they instead decided to rebel against them, and therefore seat themselves as the leaders of the Pantheon. And in retaliation, I think it's safe to say that at least one of them perhaps declared that they would be the that they would not be the last generation, but they would be the parents of the last generation of deity. So that they could, to some extent, in that way, live to see the downfall of the divine world order, so to speak. Anyway, with that out of the way, it's time we delve into the fourth generation, which would consist of the actual biological children of the third generation. Let's see, and we can start with Engse, who in this case represents extroverted intuition. And there are four personality types that have there are four Myers-Briggs personality types that have extroverted intuition, or relatively high within their function stack. And as such, Angsta will have four children. Two of them will be with Fintu, and two would be with Phineas. Let's start with the first child between Angsta and Phineas. No, this shouldn't be cursive. This should be bold. So the ENFP deity. Let's call them. Yeah, sticking with that theme. And Frap. And as I said, Angsa is that this is somewhat strange. A figure of both discord and friendship. I think Enfrap, to that extent, would be a deity of Okay, having to come up with this is actually more than I thought. I think Enfrap would be a deity of secrets, of puzzles, of mysteries, so to speak. Maybe even, maybe even conspiracies. Something that presents new opportunities, but also new dangers. Next up, we've got, bolding again. We've got the ENTP or NOTP. I'm just coming up with random names here. And yeah, where's the wisdom in Discord? I actually think actually have a pretty good idea here, namely research. So research is a more specific topic, as and the idea of seeking out expansions to understanding and to figuring out what's going on within the world, what it is that governs it. It is occasionally sloppy, but it is continuously but it is continuously improving itself, and it is continuously seeking to go beyond itself in that sense. Next up, we got we got Intru, the deities Intru were so introverted intuition, and the personality types led by introverted intuition are INFJ on one hand, J, and INTJ on the other. Starting with INFJ, I'm gonna say there's some kind of there's a public sanitation machine outside, so there's a little bit of noise. I got distracted. Anyway, INFJ, I think INFJ, the deity for that should be called Infei, simply because. And what would so we have on the one hand meditation and dreams, and on the other hand romance and community. What do you get when you what do you get when you combine these aspects? I'm more or less freestyling here, so I think the best option here would perhaps be something like matchmaking, or more directly marriage. So seeking out the people who most directly, who you most directly, most effectively work together with, and strengthen your community. I misspelled matchmaking. How the fuck did I do that? Anyway, and now we've got INTJ. Would be infon, just because. INTJ, as you can see, public works as well as meditation slash dreams. So how do you best bridge those aspects? How do you bring the pragmatic? How do you best merge the pragmatic with the? How do you best merge the this more abstract facet with the pragmatic? Well, in my mind, there is there's actually one very good facet to that, namely education. So yeah, this god would be the god that prescribes and describes the abstract and brings it into a specific form. And for that, and I think education would be would be something that a pre-modern civilization would be most capable of understanding from that point of view. Let me just put a comma here, not inside the... Okay, here. Sorry about that. Next up, we've got Sengsa, the goddess of... the goddess or deity. I haven't really figured out the gender for these people yet. I'm just kind of spitballing. And... Sengsa would be the... extroverted sensing as a dominant function, and the types to which that applies are ESFP and ESTP. ESFP is extroverted sensing and introverted feeling, so the child of Sengsa and Phineas, or rather one of two children of Sengsa and Phineas. I'll get to the second one later. And Sengsa and they would be let's go with Sefer. I think that I think that's a fine name. And Sefer, what do you get when you combine? Oh. What do you get when you combine what do you get when you combine a lust of life with friendship and with community? I think you get How about adventure? Yeah. That works. The desire to go beyond the pale, the desire to to express oneself, a desire to make oneself noteworthy. And next up, for ESTP, we got the child of Sengsa and Fintu. And Fintu, that would be... it's coming up with names that really messes me up. Let's go Sefin. Yeah, there's a there's plenty of opportunity to mix those, to mix those two up. I recognize that, but a lot of that's true. That's really kind of true with a lot of deities. And I think for wisdom to be combined with lust for life, I'm gonna go. There are actually plenty of ways I can I could take this. But I think the one that would be most easy to easy to digest, easy to follow up on would perhaps be athletics. So yeah, there's literally a god for jocks. Anyway, moving ahead, we've got Sinro, introverted sensing. The two personality types that are led by introverted sensing are ISFJ and ISTJ. ISFJ, the child of Sinro and Vexla, would be. How do I put this? How do I put this nicely? I think Sinfel should works. I think that works as a name. And Sinfel as a deity of both small scale time management and that says that to that extent proximity, and also Vexla, goddess of romance of community. I think the best usage for that would perhaps be not agriculture directly, but the harvest, because when it comes to pre-modern societies, the harvest was a big deal. Like pretty much there were tons and tons of harvest festivals depending on the season for pretty much every crop, and there were lots of crops that came out on different occasions. So Sinfel, and to that extent being a deity of the harvest of the entire community coming together for a for an important scheduled event, is I think a fitting position. Next up, we've got ISTJ, and let's go with Isfan, simply because I can. Public works and time management, a match made in heaven, one could almost say. And I think, and so what would most effectively work here? I actually think what would be the best option. This is actually a pretty good contender for God of Education as well. But on the other hand, I'm thinking. A god of leadership. Yeah, that works. Because you need to be able to master those aspects in order to master leadership in order to gain control over public works and time management. You need to be able to recognize those aspects within yourself and recognize that as within yourself, so you can most effectively find a way to make those other things work. And also puts an interesting spin on the kinds of leaders that would emerge within this society if this is what they prioritize. Next up, I have we're moving into the judging functions as the first, with a deity for what Vexan, who with the I can't talk anymore. Anyway, so we have the deity for extroverted thinking here, and there are two functions that work. There are two personality types that have extroverted thinking as a dominant function. Those are ESTJ and ENTJ. ESTJ would to that extent be the direct sibling of ISTJ, given they have the same parents. And I think ESTJ's name should be. I wanted to go SFAN, but that's that doesn't really work. How about FC? Yeah, that works. And what should FC be the god of? I'm thinking. Well, there are plenty of other options for for extroverted thinking, and there's actually one other option for extroverted thinking and public works, and that would be. And that would be. This is a little odd. Banking, or in general, financial administration. Like you can think of Isfan as the visionary within this duopoly. Isfan is the visionary, and FC is the one who actually makes things happen. Who actually gives the procedure for for how that would work. For ENTJ, the other child of other or second child of Intru and Fexan. Let's call them. I'm not gonna go. Anfru, yeah, that works. So, what would Anfru's field of specialty be? I'm actually thinking. Let's say warfare. Because going to war means requires a specific vision, and it is to some extent a necessary aspect. So there is plenty of organizational there are plenty of organizational necessities that result from that. So for that reason, I'm thinking this could this is what would work. This is where I would this is what I would give this guy to do. Then again, kind of messing up the naming scheme here. So let's go with Efren. Or no, better yet, Efner. Yeah. Who would have guessed that naming is the hardest part of this? Is the hardest part of this exercise. Anyway, moving on, we got Fin2, introverted thinking. There are two functions with extroverted thinking as there are two personality types with extroverted thinking as the dominant function, and those are ISTP and INTP. When ISTP, I'm thinking the name should be some kind of reflection of that. Let's see. It would be Phison, and I actually know precisely what domain Phison would have, namely craftsmanship, or if you prefer, smithing. the same one. Yeah, it's the same. It's basically the same specialty field as the same as Hephaestus in in Greek mythology. It's about finding a procedure to create something, to make something emerge, and that requires not just that requires a drive to do so, and an understanding on how that is done. And now moving on to INTP. I think the best name available would perhaps be something like thanks. Because why not? Because why not have a punny name in there? In there as well. And what would what would Sphinx actually? What would Sphinx actually be a god of? I already gave research to his brother. So what else could it be? The flip side of that, I'm gonna say archives, storing information, and knowing how to when and how to most effectively implement it. So yeah, that's what I got. That's what I got for this figure. Next up, we've got Fexla, extroverted feeling. The two personality types that lead with that are ESFJ and ENFJ. For ESFJ, I'm gonna go. What would be a fitting? What would be a fitting name here? Yeah, it's really the names that are kind of screwing me up. I'm gonna go with fixer. To some extent, it's the flip side of fixer. And again, we got the question of of community or romance and time management. Actually, I think I want to focus on romance being a subsection of this figure, and but I am somewhat uncertain of how to best situate time management within that. I'm gonna say, actually no. The deity of young love, of having crushes, of first finding love, and of working it, first working within your life. That I think is a fitting field. For ENFJ, I'm going to go with Fenry, simply because I can. And with Fenry, my actually wait, let's separate that. And Fake can stay got a deity of marriage, and I think Fenry would be a fitting deity for for matchmaking. All right, does that actually work? I don't know. I'm gonna stick with that, and then maybe and adjust it as it as it is necessary. Next up, Vexla, deity of romance and community. No, I already did that. No, so last but not least, we got Phineas's children. The the representing the Myers-Briggs personalities with introverted feeling as a dominant function. Those are ISFP and INFP. ISFP would be, let's go with Finzi. I don't know. I think it has somewhat of a playful nature, and I kind of want to go with that. Finzi would be, I think Finzi would more directly be like a deity of artistry. So something like maybe music and painting, for example. And then we got because it's about finding it's about a combination of things that are important to you and things that make life worth living. So artistry, and these are the two basic forms of artistry I can think of. Next up for INFP, I could just draw the other forms of artistry here, but would that actually work? Yeah, you know what? I actually am going to put the other forms of artistry here. So no, would that actually work? And haven't come up with a name yet for this deity. Let's go. What should we go for? Finzi and Finze. Yeah, that's fine. Where's the mouse? There it is. Still thinking about maybe changing Fenrir's domain. I should also specify that. Oh wait, there's actually a better domain here available. Animal husbandry, because that is a somewhat more abstract feature that would nevertheless still be directly relevant to a pre-modern society, because they because they have to consider how to most effectively ensure compliance and or cooperation with their livestock, keep them alive, keep them in, and keep illnesses away from them. So to that end, it is somewhat funny that both the deities that were that's my brain's starting to mush. I've been thinking about this for too long. Anyway, I still need to give Finze a domain. I think Finze's domain should be the soul. I'm not. Yeah, your innermost, deepermost self, and the realm within yourself that is full of the most that is filled with contradictions and questions and wonders and desires about yourself. I think that is the most fitting aspect, and I think that is the most fitting aspect for this personality type to hold. And it does actually say something about the society that would emerge from these that would emerge from the influence of these deities. That the soul is sort of the final piece. And yeah, I'm gonna say that was it. These are the 32 deities I've been able to spawn from the basis of the Myers-Briggs personality types. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you did, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to my method or to my results, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My books, the books I've written, the first of my own Heir to the Empire series, The Next Generation and A Path Not Taken, are available at various book retailers under their respective links in the description down below. Right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. Additionally, you have the option of supporting me on Patreon, where depending on the level at which you pledge, you will receive various perks. The specifics of which I will not disclose because I want you to discover those for yourselves. Also, I have a second channel where I talk about whatever crosses my mind, so go ahead and also check those out. Check that out if you'd like, or if you want to see more of me talking about giving writing advice, talking about my books, or reviewing other people's books. Well, then you can stay on this channel and go through my extensive backlog. If you decide to do none of that and just intend to do something else with your day, then go ahead and do that. It's your day after all. Sorry about that. And yeah, that was it. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.